Cool. So I'd like to talk through a few of my modules here. This is kind of a take on a classic subtractive voice, but with a module called the Harmonàig, which is a polyphonic quantizer. So it's designed to incorporate, more sort of jazz harmony or like musical voicings into a modular context. So the patch itself, I'm using the troika and the toner, which are two of my analog oscillators. So the troika is a triple voice analog oscillator, toner is a single voice. I have them mixed into a low pass filter, which is a classic sort of mini Moog type transistor ladder voice. Now what the Harmonàig does, it will send out CV control to each of the voices and automatically tune them to musically related intervals. So to start with, I need to ensure all my voices are tuned to a unison. And then once I enable them, I now have root, third, fifth, major seventh. And now as I change through the different chord tones, I'm essentially setting the root of the chord. So major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7. At the turn of a knob, I can re-voice them. I can quickly change the voicing, the chord inversion. These can all be CV controlled, so I can have different elements modulating the variations of the chord progressions. And what I did for keeping things diatonic, as you change through the different chord tones, you get it will automatically change the chord quality to keep it diatonic to the key. So what I did for the non-scale tones, so say we're in the major scale, which would be all the white keys, any of the black keys, I've chosen the most harmonically relevant chord tone or chord quality to match. So now, if I play down chromatically, you essentially get voice leading. So no matter what set of chord tones I have enabled, that could then be sequenced.
You're making use of all the buttons.
Exactly, yeah. And I can just quickly change what the chord progression is. Very quickly I can experiment and find new ways to play different chord progressions, and that all keeps it diatonic, but I can play as quickly as I would with any monophonic quantizer. And then for anyone more interested in more avant-garde jazz voicings, hold down a button and I've got Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, all the different standard musical modes, harmonic minor modes that have their own unique makeup of chords. And beyond that, if I want, I can even customize my own choice of chord voicing. So there are 4 spots that can be user defined. So I hold double tap and I can choose root, second, fifth. So now I've got sus2 chord, change it again. sus4. I try to make it as adaptable and quick as possible, so you don't necessarily need to understand any of the music theory. You can just patch, tune your oscillators to unison, hit a button, and then you just experiment with different chord voicings in a modular context.
Can you CV modulate the inversions?
You can indeed, yep. CV over the inversions as well as the voicing spread. So the voicing spread, you go from close position, which is all notes within 1 octave, to drop 2 and drop 3, which they're the most common guitar voicings if you have the root in the A string or the root in the E string. And then open voicing, it takes that drop 2 voicing and spreads out a bit further. So it's closer to what a keyboard player would typically play. And it adds a lot of range to it, because a lot of the time if you're close position, things can get very muddy, so there's a lot of dynamic control over spacing out voicings for fitting into a bigger context. Yeah.
Great. Anything new?
Yeah, anything new. So and quickly go through this guy. So the Scion is a quad random voltage generator. And you can see as I interact with this electrode, which is drawn as a leaf, it's blooming. So as it blooms, the blue, green, yellow, orange, they match up to 4 vertical channels and will generate a new random voltage note or control voltage level, a random gate with a duration, and I can scale or slew the output voltage. Now I don't need to just touch the front control to have it interact. I can patch in a standard 10s cable or connect any complex audio signal, but with a sensor cable, this is currently routed up to standard house plan. And what the module does in this case is using a biofeedback sensor, where it's looking at like minute fluctuations in resistance, capacitance to drive a microcontroller generating random notes. And it's actually based on an existing piece of hardware called the MIDI spec. So it's a company that designed this open source model that I've taken and then built it into this module that has the CV and gate incorporated into by default. So it can be a very versatile random voltage generator. You don't necessarily need to use a house plant. It can be controlled manually, sending it noise or any audio signal will cause it to tick over. Beyond that, I've got new analog oscillators. I've got a new one which is down to 6 HV, so a little 5 waveform output, wave folder, pulse pulse modulation, and then inspired from that, I developed my first complex oscillator, which is 2-voice. It's borrowing one of the sawtooth cores from the Troika and the triangle core from the TSL, the new one here. So this is designed to create very rich, complex waveforms using wave folding and cross modulation. So with the press of a button, I can quickly route the sine waves from each waveform directly to the FM modulation point or to various points in the modulation bus for the wave folders. So,
You want to quickly demo that?
yeah, absolutely. So here I have the wave folder output. As I bring it up, it will go from silence up to a sine wave, and then fold the waveform in on itself multiple times to create a rich harmonic overtone pattern. I can offset bias that, and I can also internally route signals. So, for example, I can take the sine wave from this oscillator and send it to this symmetry offset control. So very quickly, with with no other patch cables on the output, I can get extremely rich, complex harmonic tones. Yeah, and then you're combining that with the ability to add cross frequency modulation between the two. Becomes a very rich texture generator. So a very different approach than the Harmony, which is very much harmonic voicings. The CSL is more sound design and textural, like West Coast synthesis style.
Thank you, James.
Yeah. Oh.